at what action verbs are, basically they are verbs on steroids. So if those of you who go to the gym and exercise, but of course steroid is not a good medicine or substance to take. But words on steroid means that these words are carried with a lot of power. Okay, the power of the words are so expanded. It carries the influence effect on human emotion. And I want to just spend a few seconds talking about emotion. Why I care about emotion so deeply. It's because that in human communication, it doesn't matter if you're a logical person or if you're an emotional person. People make decisions based on emotion. So words like manage and words like maximize would have very different effect on human brain. Manage is a very calm, it's a very neutral word. But maximize, immediately you get that feeling that whatever you did, you really put the record, skyrocketed off the roof. So, think about the words that creates the emotion when the reader is reading your piece of resume at the moment. So those are words on steroids. I just thought that's a fun way to describe it. So step 2, benefit of having action verbs in your resume. If in step 1, I wasn't clear enough about the benefit, then we're going to get into more details on why we focus on action verbs, because without action verbs, your resume would look really, really, really boring. So let's take a look at the benefit. Benefit number 1, make the resume shorter. So if you have action verbs makes your resume look shorter and on the point. Instead of writing something like this, I was the manager of 20 employees, my team, and you go on and describing what happened. This is more like a cover letter style of writing. So it should not go onto your resume because they are full paragraph of describing something. So with action verbs, supervise 20 employees and increase morale and productivities with monthly professional development initiatives. Very clear. You supervise 20 employees and you increased morale productivities with monthly, so you give, this is an achievement statement. So if you want to know what achievement statement is, you can go on to another class that specifically talk about achievement statement. But with action verbs, supervised, increased, it's easier for the reader, the hiring manager who are reading your resume to pick up the skills, the actions you provided for your responsibility. So we don't talk about your responsibility, we talk about what you did for the responsibilities that you were in the position of in the previous company. So just to give you a review on achievement statement, always talk about the method. You don't talk about the results without bringing the methods because it really verified on what you're talking about. So the method here is with monthly professional development initiatives. So those are the achievement statement using action verbs. If you write a paragraph like this, chances are the hiring manager would not spend time reading a paragraph on a resume. Do you remember what we talked about on how much time a hiring manager average spend on each resume? 7 seconds. That's all you got. So you have to be able to write a very, very clear, concise sentence. And some people argue that I had a student told me, that's not a short sentence. Well, in some case, I will agree with her or him. But it's a short sentence that carries a lot of message. That's what I mean. If you don't think a sentence on your resume should be this long, it's probably because the achievement statement has no meaning whatsoever. So it has to be clear on what action you provided with what result, with what method. That's achievement statement. Okay? If you don't write anything about the method, you are just stating a fact. Remember, show but don't tell. If you stop your sentence here, you're just telling people that you're good at your job. And why should I believe you? I don't know you. I never met you. Why should I believe you? And if you include the method, it doesn't matter what kind of method. You can just point out very briefly on what kind of approach you did. It's easier for me to believe what you're talking about. All right, let's move on to the benefit two. Benefit two, action verbs are not boring. As we talked about, some words are overly used in resume, so such as led weekly team meetings. So, if I hire a manager, that's exactly my response would be. So you led a meeting. What about it? Why is it important? Why are you telling me this? So those are the questions that goes on to your reader's mind. So in lessons on resumes or cover letter, I always encourage whoever are preparing for a resume or cover letter to write a reader-centric or audience-centric resume and cover letter, because you really have to consider what goes on in their mind when you put together a one piece of paper document. That's all you can have. Resume ideally should be 1 page. Cover letter ideally should be 1 page. So in this 1 page packed with important information, do you want it to be boring? Probably not. So with action verbs, you would be very, very clear and on the point, using words like facilitated discussion during weekly team meeting. You led it, okay, that's fine, all right? That means that you're responsible for holding the meeting, but you facilitated discussions. So that means that you organized a group of people get together in one room, and you facilitate, you pick the topic of discussion. So that shows even more in-depth of what you do, even though this sentence still, in my standard, doesn't really tell me a lot about you, but at least it tells me that you pick the meeting, you pick a group of people, you pick the topic, okay? So you led it, even though it's a similar idea, but it's just not, it doesn't really give me that image of what you are doing. So action verbs are not boring. Next, number 3, action verbs stand out. That's the whole purpose of writing a resume, because you want your resume to stand out. So overused verbs are boring. So brainstorm purposeful, so similar to number 2. Purposeful action words will make your resume more unique and helping you outshine the competition. So action verbs, purposeful action verbs. Okay, so the reason why I highlight this word is that you don't go on to Google and search action, like a top 10 action verbs. Okay, don't search those kind of websites, because whoever created the web page, I believe they're professionals, that's right, but they don't know you. They don't know what you can do. They don't know what your strengths and your weaknesses are. So if you pick the top 10 action verb that does not fit your skills, it does not fit the job that you're applying to, then those words, 10 words, are not the top 10 for you. So purposeful action verbs will make you stand out, will make your resume unique. So not boring, has to be unique, has to make you stand out, outshine the competition. Because I believe that each and every one of you watching this lesson right now, you have a skill set you want your future boss to see. What are the skill sets, and how do you choose the action verbs really based on the understanding of your strength and your weaknesses. And who knows it better? Just yourself.